So self-organization, like I said, is a hallmark of all biological systems like our bodies and ecological systems. And so what happens when a system is in its developmental stages, so that'd be for us when we were developing and growing, through our childhood, what happens is the systems not only get bigger, they get more complex. And the complexity is derived from the parts in the system, whether they're cells in a body or species in an ecosystem, through time becoming more specialized and more tightly integrated together in ways that each entity doing what it needs to do to sustain itself creates conditions that sustain the whole. And as a result, these self-organizing systems through time become more and more and more resilient and stable and energy efficient. And diversity is an outcome of self-organization. So as species become more specialized, their niches or ecological roles shrink, which means the system can support more and more and more species, building up all that repetition of function that I was talking about earlier. But the critical thing is not just how many players you have in species or in any sort of system, but how tightly integrated they are. That's the piece that you really want to focus on, is the integration. And it's why I know at the Center for Whole Communities, we shifted from talking about multiculturalism to interculturalism. You could have a city like San Francisco, where you might have different ethnic enclaves in different parts of the city, and there can be a great deal of tolerance. And I don't know this for fact for San Francisco, I'm just using San Francisco as an example, but many cities that do have a lot of cultural diversity, there may not be a lot of integration between those different cultural components. So that would maybe be multicultural. They all exist, they're tolerated, but it's not as powerful as if they're really integrated in mutually beneficial ways. So diversity is not just about having diversity, but having meaningful mutual integration within that diversity, so that people are doing things that not just support themselves or support their culture, but support other people and other cultures. Arboretums have incredible diversity of different species because you've brought in all these trees from all around the world. So you can find way more diversity of different species in an arboretum, but probably in terms of true self-organization, it's less diverse because those species have not co-evolved and developed all the interactions that species that have co-evolved together have created. And we're just in our infancy of beginning to understand the nature of these interactions. They are so multi-dimensional and so complex that you might, even if you had a forest with only 10 tree species in it, the interactions between those species is going to be much, much more dramatic than if you had an arboretum with maybe 100 species that don't have those natural interactions. Because those interactions just don't happen all their own. They have to take time to co-evolve to develop.